It's crazy. I'm loving it, living the American life, trying to do it. It's crazy, you know. So I had to learn how to drive out here, which was fun. To get a car, obviously, which I just almost couldn't get. You have to fill out forms, and then they want your credits. And in America, credits is very important. I don't understand the concept. I'm in the car dealership, and there's this Asian gentleman helping me. We're going through the forms, and he says, "So how long have you lived in America for?" I said, I haven't lived here for long. He said, "Oh, this not good for you. This not good for you." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "No, you cannot lease car in America unless you've been here a long time, because then you don't have credit, okay? You don't." I said, "Well, I've got the money to pay for it." He said, "Yeah, that's not the point, okay? That's not the point. In America, okay, in this country, we want credit, okay? Our country focus on credit. If you got good credit, you can buy anything. We don't care about money. We want credit." I said, "Well, credit is the assumption that you can pay back the money." He's like, no, that don't count here, okay? In our country, you have good credit, you can buy anything, okay? You got good credit. And he's like, our country. And I was like, look, I hate to be rude, but when you say our country, do you mean our because you live here now, or our because the Chinese own it? And he was like, it's a bit of both, okay? Yeah, but no credit for you, no car. Okay, goodbye. I had to just buy myself a car, you know, this horrible thing, drive around. And that's the worst thing, driving in America, wow. On the other side of the road, you feel like a rebel, you know, until you see the other cars coming, and then it's not so much fun. You know how many times I did that, just going to the wrong side? And don't trust movies. It's not easy to do that whole thing. No, people don't just drive, and no, they stop. They just look at you and go, "What are you doing?" In the movies, you drive past. "What are you doing?" Aren't you supposed to? No, they don't drive. They just wait for you to turn around, and the street is so small. You're doing one of those turns, just watching them in your shame, just like it's horrible. I had to practice for months. It was the worst. I remember I drove into a street once. I thought I'd learned. It had been months. I'd been doing it well, and then I turned into the wrong way, and I saw this little old Asian lady driving towards me, and I was like, "No!" And there was nobody else, so I swerved the car around. I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "Yeah! Hero!" And I drove, and there were 50 cars coming this way. And I was like, "You bitch!" And I told my friend the story. I told him this. I was like, "Oh, this is what happened." And he was like, "Oh, that's so funny, man. That's so funny." And he's like, "Who was driving the car?" I said, "A little old Asian lady." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you can't say that, man. You can't say that." I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you can't say she's Asian." I said, "Why not?" He's like, "Yeah, because that's racist." I said, "What, that she's Asian?" He's like, nah, if she's a bad driver and you say she's Asian, that's racist. I said, "So let me get this straight. Asians are not allowed to be called bad drivers? Is this not racism in itself? Everyone else is allowed the world of bad drivers. But if I'm driving on the freeway behind an Asian person and they're swerving around, and I go, 'This bad driver, you drive like crap.' And I pull up next to them, I'm like, 'Oh, no, sorry. You're not a bad driver. You're just Asian. I'm sorry.'" Not racism in itself. It's madness. So now what I had to do was get around using a GPS, you know? Decided to get one of those. First, I tried to be a cheapskate. I thought, "Oh, get a phone with a GPS." That was a horrible mistake. Bought myself one of those iPhones with Siri. Oh, your assistant, she talks to you. She listens to you. If you're American, she doesn't understand one word I say. I don't understand why. I speak English, and they're talking to her. Doom, doom. She's like, "What do you need?" I'm like, "Siri, please call Peter." "You want pizza?" No, cancel. "Siri, I need Peter." "You want pizza?" "No, Siri, I want pizza, not pizza." "You want pizza?" No, Siri, what's going on here?" "You want to, Peter, Siri, Peter, Siri. You're not making sense. Siri, are you having an attitude with me? You tell me. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Siri, just listen to me. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Siri, just, bitch. Dialing mom. What the hell? This is horrible. I had to buckle down and buy myself a real GPS to get me around, which has been working like a charm. If you don't have a GPS, you get yourself one. It's the best thing you'll ever do. Just don't make the mistake I made and buy it from Craigslist. I bought one off Craigslist, and the guy who sold it to me didn't tell me that it was a Spanish language GPS, which was not so good. I didn't understand anything she says. Look, I still get around because the arrows are in English, thank God. But otherwise, it was just horrible. And I hated it the first few days, and then I fell in love with her. She's just, I don't understand why more Americans don't speak Spanish. It's such a sexy language. I'm sitting there, and like all the men in here, you want to feel like a man. You get yourself a Spanish GPS. Oh no, you don't understand. Traffic never sounded sexier. It's just like, I just punch in random destinations and she guides me around. She's like, dum dum. Sigue toco de que para conocí. En 200 metros sería la de la cha. And I'm just like, oh shucks, Tom Tom. You say that all the time. This is sexy, She just guides me around. It's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to learn Spanish because of that. Spanish has gone up my list. I had a few languages in Spanish. Spanish was like 6th language. I spoke 4 languages in South Africa. And then the 5th language was going to be Japanese. And then Spanish but now Spanish has gone up. Japanese I've had to pause because of the earthquake. There's not that many of them traveling now. So it's sad. There's no one now. Just like walk around the streets, just, But Spanish has gone up. Because I was getting good at Japanese, don't get me wrong. I was getting really good. I could say, and it's a great language. It's powerful. Because you speak Japanese from your chest, it makes you feel strong. Hey there. Yeah, very strong. Whereas English you speak from the head and the chest. Do you know what I mean? You speak it head and chest. You wouldn't know this. You wouldn't know this if you listen to many coastal girls in America. Like I've been in places like California where women insist on speaking English from their nose, which is not the correct. Yeah, like, oh my God, are you guys gonna like do this? And I was like there with Tiffany, and we were talking, and that's not the right way. You're not using your lungs. I know this because when I choked her, she sounded exactly the same. Jesus. Then she's like, oh my God, you're like totally choking me right now, and I can't breathe, and this is so not on. I am so gonna tweet about this. This is like the worst thing ever. Oh, I am so dying. OMG. It's horrible. Whereas Japanese is strong. Japanese, you speak from the chest, A lot of the Americans are learning Chinese, I've seen. Chinese, I see people say, you gotta learn Chinese. They're taking over. Chinese. Ni hao ma. Shi shi ni. Chinese. It's too late. It's too late to learn Chinese. It's over. No, it's true. It's true. Because it's also one of the hardest languages in the world. I mean, how do you learn Chinese now? Just, they've got over 10,000 characters in the alphabet. You know this? 10,000 characters. We've got 26 in English. And there's still people going, what comes after Q? 26. This is, 10,000 they've got. That's super smart. Although they must have the worst Sesame Street in the world. It must suck being a Muppet in that country. I can just see them on a Monday morning singing to the kids. 5 years later, it's just horrible. Horrible. Hey there, thanks for watching. Now, all I need you to do is click on that little circle on your screen. Yeah, that one. Oh, yeah, just like that. Hold on.